Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's either Electric. We go back again with another episode. This is episode number 46. And we're going to talk about, did the Democratic Party die last night? Was that the end? Did we see the beginning of the end? And of course, welcome again to my son. How you doing, buddy?
What's up? I'm back.
You are back. How you feeling?
Again.
It was a late night. It was a good show. By the way, I want to first start out by saying thank you to everybody. It was our most successful stream we've ever had last night. It was awesome. It was incredible. We do this for fun. You know, we love talking politics. We love talking politics with each other, father and son. We figured we love talking trash to each other. And I figured, why not do that with everybody else out there in the world? And just love it. And it was so cool. We were so pumped that everybody that tuned in to see that we were reacting live to the Trump speech, which we're gonna get back to today. Believe me, because I got thoughts. You got thoughts?
I got plenty of thoughts. I
got lots of thoughts. None of them are really good, and we're gonna cover a little bit of pop culture later on in the episode. But mostly, we're gonna talk about politics. We're gonna talk about the speech. We're gonna talk the ramifications of the speech. We're gonna talk about how the Democrats behaved. And you know, I'm preparing a video. That's not a live stream, but we call it an evergreen video. You know, something you just post and it stays there forever. It has no real time to it, but it's really about why I am no longer a Democrat. And I've said this many, many times before on this live stream. Again, last night was just another example of why, thank God, I left that party and went to the Republican Party, because oh my God, that was.
And you're a New Englander.
I'm not just a New Englander. I'm from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
I worked and lived and went to school in the city of Boston. The cradle, the stronghold, the cradle of the bastion of progressive liberalism, where it's not just a way of life, it's an institution. It's just amazing. And thank God I escaped it, because thank God I didn't infect you with it or your brother.
Hey, listen, you never had a chance. I'm an asshole.
That's true. You are.
Or as you say, a masshole. That's right.
Yep. I am. So, but yeah, with that, just like I said, thank you to everybody. So let's get into some stuff. First of all, you know what? I really want, what are your thoughts? Give me your main thoughts. Give me your main thoughts coming out of last night's speech, and then I'll give you mine before we get to anything. Totally.
Well, never thought I'd see somebody get kicked out of the chamber. That's the first time I've ever seen. Is that the first time? I don't think ever. Probably go back to Civil War times and more rowdy, unstable political eras. But I mean, in terms of like modern American politics, that is, I think, the first time in a long time, if not the first time in this era. So that surprised me that they're willing to go that far. And I was disappointed. I understand the idea of party lines and standing by them, but I think there should be obvious times or cues when you break apart from those party lines, especially, when it came to some of the people who are being honored there, who are normal, everyday Americans, some of them who have suffered the harsh realities of life, that the world is a cruel place. And they chose to stand by those party lines because they thought it was the moral or superior high ground. And I can't agree with that. So I don't think we saw the Democrat Party die, but I think we saw a lot of cracks, a lot of fractures within it, and a lot of out of touchness, I should say, with the American public.
Yeah, I agree, and I think for me, I walked away with two main feelings from that speech. Listening to Donald Trump, I felt like, okay, we've got a handle on. We know what's wrong. We know what the problem is. It's like Alcoholic Anonymous. Anonymous. The first step is admitting you have a problem, and I think the Republican parties have said, you know what? We got a problem. We got a few problems. That's the first step to fixing it. So I felt real positive coming out of that. Now, I'm not going to sit here, like I said last time, I'm not going to sit here and say I agree with everything that man is doing in office. I don't. I'm not viscerally, crazily deranged about it, but, I was like, okay, I don't think that tactic's really the one I'd go with. But then again, he's the one sitting in the office. I'm not. The second thing I walked away from that speech was outrage. I was literally, I tried to contain my anger, try to keep it light during the live stream, during our reaction time, when we were reacting to things in real time, just trying to keep it sort of like, oh, this is kind of funny. They're not doing this. As you said, they're not standing for certain things. If you don't want to stand for Elon Musk and applaud his efforts, and you're a Democrat, I get that. That's fine. He's one of your targets. You disagree with what he's doing, how he's doing it. I get that. That's cool.
It's really your only standing point that you can kind of argue for or against.
I'm okay with that. But when the mother of a slain 11 or 12-year-old girl who was brutalized by an illegal immigrant is there representing herself and her dead child, hoping that something is going to be done about this. And whether it's the action that you would take or the action you would not take, the policy that you would propose or the policy that you would oppose, the fact that that woman is standing there, the fact that that woman is still standing, period, after what happened to her child, and not just her, but Lincoln Riley's family, the young nursing student from Georgia, and then the young one, the mother, the first mother I'm talking about is from Houston, a city very near and dear to my heart because I used to live there, I used to work there. But the fact that that woman is still standing, period, is reason enough for you to get off your goddamn asses and give her a round of applause.
Right. You don't have to agree with the policy. You don't have to agree with the policy.
You don't have to agree with the policy. But you gotta applaud. You have to applaud that woman for saying, you know what? I'm not going to retreat from the fight. I'm going here to see what can be done. And if the only person that's listening to her is Donald Trump, the president, that's not Donald Trump's fault. Democrats, that's yours. It's your fault for not listening. It's your fault for not trying to do something. It's your fault for not saying we can be better at this. But you didn't. For a 13-year-old boy who's been fighting brain cancer, who was not expected to live, again, another child of Houston, so very near and dear to my heart, whose only dream is to grow up one day and become an officer of the law, and God bless him, hopefully he does. You don't stand for him. The fact that he is walking, the fact that he got out of his hospital bed and got to the point where he's at, that is not a story, a moment. That is not the kind of person you want to applaud. That is not the kind of person you want to put forward and say, this is an example of this country, that even when things are so tough, you don't give up and you keep fighting. But you don't do that, Democrats. You don't get up and applaud that example. Why? Because that boy likes Donald Trump. That boy's been a friend of Donald Trump's for years. The president has gotten to know that boy. The president has gotten to know that boy. That boy gives that president hugs. That boy brought that president a cowboy hat as a gift from the great state of Texas. He didn't bring you a cowboy hat. You want to know why?
You never got to connect with him.
You never connected with him. You never cared.
Nope.
You never cared. And that's the thing about Donald Trump. Love him, hate him, like him, don't like him. You got to respect that man's ability to connect with people. Not just rhetoric in front of thousands that we sometimes make fun of and say it's this or is that, but the man connects with people on an individual basis that I don't think anyone in the Democratic Party has the ability to connect with people in that regard. I don't see it. You can't name one. I can't name one. You know what the closest is, and I'm dressed like him today, is John Fetterman. You know, John Fetterman I could listen to talk and say, you know what, that man's been through some crap. I get it. I don't agree with half the things he has to say, but I get it and I respect him for it. Because he's like, you know what? Heart attack, brain seizures, whatever. I'm going to get out of it. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to become a U.S. Senator. I respect that man. As a Republican, I'd applaud that man. If he stood up and said, hey, this is what I went through, I would applaud him. And that's the difference between, and that's why I left the Democratic Party. Or yet, as I like to say, the Democratic Party left me. Because the Democratic Party I grew up with would applaud those people. You know? Last night I mentioned JFK. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Ich bin ein Berliner. FDR. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Those are two great Democrats. And we've gone in less than 100 years from that kind of inspirational rhetoric to the kind of crap I'm going to show you in a few minutes that I brought up. The way they acted last night was nothing short of despicable, embarrassing. It was, I had to laugh while watching it because I didn't know what else to do with the emotions. Like, it's a 13-year-old kid. Get off your ass and give him a hand. It's a woman who's lost her child in the most brutal fashion. Get off your ass and give her a hand. But you can't do that. You hold up bingo paddles with little signs. You do nothing. You propose nothing. There's not one policy that you've proposed that you can say, this is a way forward. We'd like to consider this. The only thing you've done is resist and obstruct. And that's no way to govern. And because you're reacting all the time, it means you're losing, and you're going to continue to lose. And why people like me are going to continue to leave the party, and why people like me are never going to go back to the party. And why, if the party does die, then let it die. Because it's not even the party of Bill Clinton anymore. Never mind Barack Obama. We can talk about Barack Obama all we want, because that's where it all began with Barack Obama. But the party of Bill Clinton, it's not even that party anymore. And it was just shameful. And yeah, that's basically how I felt. I think Trump delivered knockout blow after knockout blow after knockout blow. And all you could do is stand up, walk out, scream, cry, throw a fit like a child who didn't get their toy at Target. That's the state of the Democratic Party right now. So that's how I feel. 2 on the nose?
No, I mean that's it's pretty fair. Pretty fair.
2 on the nose, maybe, but that's how I feel. That's how I feel. So, speaking of a little child with cancer, and I can't believe that this is actually a story. This is actually a story. We're gonna let me transition here. Just let's share our screen here, and hopefully this works as well as I want it to work. Little mosquito, I hate you. So this is MSNBC. I'm going to mute us. We're going to play this. And hey, there's a little mosquito on me. How you doing?
Pretty much.
All right, let's mute us.
The record, and this is disgusting. The president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who's thus far survived pediatric cancer, as if the president had something to do with that. This was in the midst of him praising Doge. The Doge cuts, among other things, have cut off funding for ongoing research into pediatric cancer.
I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against.
That's where I'm going to leave that. So,
I'm sorry, did she say defend the Capitol against Donald Trump supporters?
Yeah. She also said, I hope he doesn't commit suicide. So she turned.
Yeah, I mean, that is the glaring part.
She turned an entire feel-good moment for a child that has cancer. Both of those disgusting people should be fired, because Rachel Maddow wouldn't have cared, doesn't care less about that child. She only cares that she can try to use him for her Trump derangement syndrome. But then this a-hole, decides to lump him in with people, I hope he doesn't commit the dreaded S word, he doesn't self-delete. To politicize a 13-year-old with cancer in that way, this woman should be fired. She should be fired immediately. MSNBC should fire her immediately, and she should never be hired by any other news outlet ever again.
I mean, I just don't understand what kind of mindset you have to be in to even utter those 2 words together, never mind in a political context, but just on national television in that manner to try to make it a talking point. I mean,
that's how sick they
terrible.
are. That's a sickness.
Here's the problem. If that was Joe Biden speaking and that kid was getting honored, they would praise him.
They'd be all about it.
Because it's Trump who invited him.
Yep.
All of a sudden, he's no longer that same child who's heroically survived and gone through a horrible disease and sickness.
He's not even human. He's a prop.
Yeah, they see him as they see him as a tool, which is like that's a person.
It's a
kid.
It's
a kid.
That's a kid who's got more guts and more soul than any of these people at MSNBC.
And who's had more hardship in a short span of 13 years than they probably had in 40. And
these ultra privileged
I would be certain to bet on that. I mean, Horrible.
I mean, when they gave him the badge yesterday,
They deputized him as a Secret Service agent.
Secret Service agent. You saw my that was an honest reaction. I was almost jumping out of my chair, just pumping my fist like
I was excited.
that was so cool. I was like, that's the friggin' coolest thing I've ever seen.
I just wonder if it's an actual.
God help us if we have a president who inspires hope, positivity, encourages that type of bravado and that type of just joy out of people. God help us, because Joe Biden never did it. Joe Biden couldn't even pronounce the words Secret Service.
Never mind answer 1,000 questions in a month. I mean.
So that's scumbag number one. Here's right here, you see this picture right here. That's the mother of Jocelyn and Gary from Houston, one of the girls. She's the mother who showed up, still standing. Again, I don't know if something happened to either you or your brother, and it was just an accident, like, I don't know, drunk driving, something still horrific to be, even if you were taken away from me and your mother as you guys are basically young adults now, never mind an 11-year-old, a 10-year-old. I mean, I don't know I just don't know what I would do. I don't know if I could go. I don't know if I could stand up again with one of you gone, taken from me, and taken from him. I don't know if I could. And do I see this person there standing? And it just amazes me. And of course, the Democrats could not stand with her.
Never mind stand for what was, signed right after the executive order naming what is it? Is it a national park or is it?
It's a national park. It's a national refuge.
It was a national refuge, if I'm not mistaken. In Galveston, we've been to it many times.
It's beautiful.
A couple times for Pokemon hunting. Beautiful park, and they named it after the little girl. Still not standing. I mean, Listen, if you're not standing for the kid with brain cancer who got deputized as a Secret Service agent, and you're not standing for the naming of a national park after a girl who was horrifically brutalized and murdered, what are you standing? What are you even sitting there for?
They're standing. You know what they're standing for? They're standing.
No, don't say standing, because they never stood.
Okay.
They sat.
No,
what were they sitting there for?
First of all, no matter what Donald Trump said, they would never stay. Donald Trump could walk out there and he could say, "I solved world peace. There's going to be no more wars forever. I solved it. I found it." They still wouldn't stand. They wouldn't clap. He could walk out and say, "I found the cure to cancer, all cancer," and they wouldn't clap. He could walk out there and he could say, "Guess what? I found the answer to the question, why are we here?" And they still wouldn't cheer or clap.
He could have probably said, "I made all the illegals legal now." They would probably say on the news the day after, they're not our constituent, they're not on our side, it's wrong. They would have switched up. They would have hated it.
If he came out and said, "I'm going to give amnesty and citizenship to all the illegal aliens in the country tomorrow,"
they still wouldn't cheer.
They still wouldn't cheer. You know what? The Democrats would still stand up and say he's usurping his authority. That's Congress. They say it's a constitutional crisis, no matter what he does. And he knows it. And that's why he gave 0 Fs last night. He was throwing haymaker after haymaker, calling people up. When he called out Pocahontas, I almost died.
That made me laugh. Well, she was on her phone the whole time.
Yeah, she's flipping through her Tinder profile.
She made herself a target.
She's like, "Can I get a date? Can I, that." Oh, God.
No, it's more like, I can't get. Why is no one matching with me?
Yeah. We don't match with people like you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so and then, but the star of the show, we're gonna play this. This is from KHOU Houston, but this is a replay of this. Let's see here. We'll mute this.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
And from Houston, that was the representative, Mr. Al Green, who should be thrown out of his position for doing what he did, acting the way he did. He got thrown out of Congress last night, and I've never seen. I mean, again, he's up there screaming, "The president has no mandate to cut Medicare."
Right.
The president is not cutting Medicaid. He's not cutting Medicare. He's
I
not
think
cutting.
he didn't even mention it once.
Yeah, he's never mentioned cutting that, and he hasn't cut it. Now, number one, and then afterwards, there's another video where he's walking out and he's talking about the president has no mandate. He goes, "I did it to protect Medicaid. I did it to protect." Listen, you're Congress. You control the money. So if anybody's supposed to protect Medicaid, it's you, asshole. But again, apparently you just don't know your effing job that you run for. All you're there is collecting a check and whatever grift you're getting off of whatever you're doing. And again, so to all my fellow Houstonians, please, you can do. It's not about Democrat, Republican at this point. You can do better than this. And you know what? You need to do better than this. You need to do better than that. He absolutely is a disgrace. He's an embarrassment to the city of Houston.
We have a history, too, of doing things like this. He's been pushing since he's gotten to office, or since Trump also has gotten to office, articles of impeachment.
Yep.
Constantly.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he's always one of the filibusters, too. He's always giving one of the filibusters, if I'm not mistaken. I could be speaking.
No, you're not. You're talking about somebody else, but I know who you're talking about.
Okay,
he's not. He's one of the. Yes, he is constantly trying to file articles of impeachment against Donald Trump.
Right.
And he says they asked him why when he walked out last night, and he said, "Well, because he's 34 convictions and this one." And I'm like, well, guess what? We all knew that, and then we still elected him president
overwhelmingly, as he stated,
landslide.
Won all the swing states, won the popular vote. I mean, not even liberals bastions such as Los Angeles, San Francisco, even to an extent, even cities in Texas like Houston and Dallas, Boston, New York, Philadelphia could even maintain the popular vote for the Democrats. It shows you that the country had had enough at that point, wanted change, and they gave him a mandate. Bring some change, do something different, because the last administration and the last Congress that we had did not do its job. So, I mean, sorry.
Well, listen.
That's reality.
Listen. What they should have done, and I just screwed that up. Let me see here. Yeah, here we go. What they should have done, this is going to play, give me a second, is tackled this guy to the ground. Because, let me go back to this picture. I was just trying to enlarge. I guess I can't do it. But no offense, he's within a stone's throw of the president. And yes, I know he needs a cane to walk, but it doesn't look like it. Sometimes he needs a cane, sometimes he doesn't. But he's lifting what looks like who knows what. To me, it could be a cane, could not. Secret Service, next time, I want to see this guy tackled. I want to see this guy absolutely tackled.
Listen, those people are checked
who cares?
Before they get into the chamber.
Yeah, you never know.
It's a member of Congress. That's too far, in my opinion.
No, check this guy.
Sergeant of Arms. Sergeant of Arms is there for a reason. Now, my concern is that he got in there with a cane, and I'm not saying this is obviously speculation. Well, not even speculation. In the world, cane guns do exist. Yeah. So I'm surprised they even let him in with a cane. Hopefully they checked it before. I'm not saying he would ever shoot the president. I'm not saying anybody would, but I mean to be standing there and pointing.
He's pointing at it. He's just like
that's not the rhetoric you show.
You know what the president's thinking is like. You guys have tried this twice before. Go ahead a third time. Let's see what you got.
Right.
And
but that's a proper decorum. But they didn't maintain it the whole night. It started there, and that set the tone for you of what the Democrats were going to do.
Went all downhill from there. Let's see. And this is what Green says. I was making it clear to the president he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. He's got a mandate to do whatever he wants. First off, he was elected overwhelmingly landslide.
Right.
He's got a mandate to do what he wants because he was giving that mandate and put in office by the people of the United States of America. And he said, I have people who are very fearful. No, you don't. They keep saying people are very afraid. I haven't met one.
I'm sorry. I wish we had the map here, but there's a map that shows all the counties from the election, and the color they're shaded in shows, compared to last election, how much did they change towards a certain political side. Mm-hmm. Most of the country's red. Even parts of California, like Orange County, obviously is usually always red. Los Angeles, I think, technically shifted right. I mean, we're talking about liberal bastions shifting right. Yeah. He has the mandate. Second, Congress, you set, your job is literally setting the bill and federal funding for these federal, what would you call them? Agencies?
Yes.
You're in charge of this. Why? If you want to protect Medicaid that much, you should be looking across the aisle and talking to those people and trying to make compromises with them. Not the president. The president just signs whatever you guys pass into law. I mean, I learned this in high school, middle school, I think even elementary.
So this guy doesn't even know he doesn't know his job. He doesn't know how the government works, but yet he's there representing. Now, let me just get to one thing he said, and this is how much of an idiot, an absolute buffoon this guy is. He said, we are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. Now, of course, the president has no desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, or Social Security. So, first of all, the guy's delusional. Second off, where were you during the Biden administration? Because of Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, let's just talk Social Security. Social Security got cut during the Biden administration. It was called inflation. Because the prices went up on everything, the Social Security that people were relying on wasn't making ends meet anymore. So for 4 years, while you just sat with your thumb up your ass or your cane up your ass, whatever one it was, not knowing where you are, what you're doing, or how you're supposed to do it there, Representative Al Green, you didn't even know that Social Security wasn't cutting the mustard for people because inflation, because eggs were $8, $9, $10, $11 a dozen.
But don't worry, let's pass $1 trillion on a new Green Deal.
Yep. That's okay.
Foreign investments.
This guy's all theatrics. He's a buffoon. He's a clown. He's the AOC. He's AOC's grandfather is what he is. Doesn't have a friggin' clue. But these are the people in the Democratic Party. That's why I said I think it's dying. I think if this is the people they're putting in, it's dying.
They're not gonna have a shot.
Anyways. So we're going to mute our mic and play. This is, as I talked earlier in the show, I gave you a couple quotes from some of the greatest Democrats to ever hold the office of president, Kennedy and Roosevelt. Great just on their rhetoric alone and just how they could inspire and how they could speak and how they just had respect for the office, respect for the country, and respect for the people. So here we go. I'm going to mute this one more time.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That's
I'm stopping it there.
I'm sorry. Does that not make anyone think of if anyone's seen Nemo, the seagulls, mine?
Well, what it is, okay.
I know what it is, but with all of them together, they just sound like seagulls, all saying the same point. Uncreative, going back to the playbook from 8 years ago.
They're calling him a liar. They're swearing. They're trying to make you think that they're not proposing any policy. They're bad mouthing Elon Musk. They're bad mouthing the president. They're bad mouthing all the plans. They're just bad mouthing. But the thing is, they're all saying the same thing. All these clips, they have the same script. Now, here's the thing: Democrats didn't tell you that it was all the same script. They were all putting out this thing, right? And then it got leaked, sort of like, hey, why do they all sound like? And it's just, that's what they're doing. They're all bought, paid for. Here's the script. Here's what you say. Whoever's paying these people behind
Here's
them.
the Democratic committee coming out with the hot new script right off the fresh off the press.
There's no originality.
Ready to go.
There's no originality there. There's no nuance. There's nothing. There's nothing. And again, the Democratic Party that I used to be a part of and used to love is just, it doesn't, this isn't it. This is not it.
Yeah, it died a long time ago. Gringo. I hate to break it to you. It died when I was growing up. That's when it died.
Even, Bill Clinton. And I know a lot of people don't like Bill Clinton. Okay. Number one, there was always a fun day in politics when Bill Clinton was in office because you never knew what he was going to say, what he was going to do, or what was going to happen because of his, appetites. So it was always fun.
He's quite the character.
He's quite the character, but he's an intelligent man, whether you like what he did or didn't. But he knew enough after the midterms, his first level of midterms. He knew enough to pivot. He knew enough to say for the first 2 years of his presidency, what he was trying to do wasn't working. The American people didn't want it. He could see it in the voting. He could see it in the polls. And he could see that what he was doing was hurting his party and hurting their chances to maintain some level of power or voice within the country. What did he do? He immediately came out and he pivoted. He did it himself. He came out with a speech. It was amazing. And it was one of the things, I have a love-hate relationship for Bill Clinton for a lot of reasons, and just a lot of things that he did and didn't do, or the ways he went about it. But I got a lot of respect for a man who comes out and says, you know what?
That's fair, Sergeant Carnage. Yeah, it did die a long time before I was born.
Yeah, it did.
Sounds about right.
Thank you, Sergeant. Yes, it did. But Bill Clinton came out and he said, you know what? Shit ain't working. I tried. It ain't working. First of all, no one likes it. Second of all, it ain't working. So guess what? I'm going to try this now because that's what the people want.
And that's how American politics should be. Listen, this is a land of compromise. We're a land of immigrants, which is true. A lot of us do come from immigrants. I technically come from an immigrant, half and half, right?
Your mother was a legal immigrant. And
right.
We went through a system and we went through a process which isn't easy.
No, by no means is not easy.
And it shouldn't be. Whether you're born as an American citizen or you want to become an American citizen legally, American citizenship is the top class citizenship of the world. It really is. And it shouldn't be easy to either be one or get there or maintain it. Right. It shouldn't be. You should have to work for it. We talk about people, whether you're giving service to your country through the military or the police or your community, you're being a teacher, you're going to jury duty, you're voting, you're participating in the political process, you're paying your taxes, you're working, you're taking care of your family, you're trying to be a good neighbor, you're trying to be a good citizen, you're trying to obey the laws. American citizenship should never be easy. It should be something you have to maintain, right. Work for, tend. Because the minute you take it for granted and say, oh, this is easy, is the minute it doesn't mean anything. And if your mother came over as a legal immigrant and we got married and I was worried, I'm going to have to send your mother away. She's married to me and she's pregnant at the time.
Right.
And I was afraid I'm going to have to send her back to Mexico without me because her visa is going to run out because the process was arduous and slow. And I was scared to death. But you know what? It came through. We stuck with the process. We communicated. dead. There it is.
It's picking us up.
There
We're
it is.
back.
It's picking us up.
Sensitive little thing.
It's a sensitive little thing. It's a blue mic, so it's a sensitive thing. Thank you,
Sergeant Carnage.
Appreciate that. So yeah, it's as far as the Democratic Party goes, I don't ever foresee it coming back to what it was. I don't foresee it ever being a force in politics for a long, long time, unless someone steps out of the shadows. Unless you're getting
Right.
Again, the one person I respect in the Democratic Party right now is John Fetterman.
Yeah.
I don't agree with anything much he has to say, but I respect him. Because he's willing to go talk to Trump and say, hey, this is what I think. Hey, can we talk about it? That's it. So
I agree with Sergeant Carnage, yeah.
Yeah, what do you got?
What he said earlier. You earned that.
Yeah.
Your father.
Yep. He earned it. Yeah.
Right.
My father served. Ah, what a day. What a day. All right. What else do we got? Oh, okay. So we're gonna switch a little bit here. Still stay in politics, but
A little more towards the violent side of politics.
oh, God.
Back to the sandbox, people.
Back to the sandbox. Anyway, so again, Trump's speech, awesome. What they have to, what the Democrats did was just terrible. So, all right, let's get back to this. Boom. Okay. So Trump tweeted today, or put on, how do you, he truthed?
Truthed it.
Truthed it?
I think that's why he called it Truth Social.
Yeah.
So you can say, oh, he truthed today because tweeted.
Last warning to Hamas terrorists demands release of hell to pay. So let's see here. Shalom Hamas means hello and goodbye. You can choose, the president's post began. Release all the hostages now, not later, and immediately return all of the dead bodies of the people you murdered, or it's over for you. Only sick and twisted people keep bodies, and you are sick and twisted. All right, well.
What's the deadline there, Gringo?
I think it's tomorrow. He didn't really give a deadline. Sternway immediately. Immediately is immediately. I don't know.
We'll see.
You know what? Something's he.
Well, I can tell you, Europe's 7 hours ahead. That means that part of the world, the Middle East, is about another 2. I think they're 9 hours ahead, if I'm not mistaken. So they should be probably up by now if you're in the middle of a conflict. I imagine you're up at this point.
He went on.
Oh, God.
Trump added that he is sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job. Oh, boy. And that not a single Hamas member will be safe if you don't do as I say. I have just met with your former hostages whose lives you have destroyed. This is your last warning. For the leadership, now is the time to leave Gaza while you still have a chance. Also, to the people of Gaza, a beautiful future awaits, but not if you hold hostages. If you do, you are dead. Make a smart decision. Release the hostages now, or there will be hell to pay later.
You know, I have a feeling he's a little frustrated with the Ukraine and Russian situation. So he looked at
wait a minute. Speaking of Fetterman, unflinching support offered his approval of the post. He just said, free all the hostages and start killing Hamas members again. I fully agree with POTUS, Fetterman posted on X.
You see, again, that's the face of the Democrat Party, but he won't run because he acknowledges the health risks he carries. And I respect that.
Yeah.
But in terms of, at least in the House,
yeah.
I believe he's a representative, right?
He's a senator.
Is he a senator?
Senator of Pennsylvania.
Senator. He's the voice that I think most Americans are going to gravitate towards.
And again, I speak on this as not only an American, but I speak on this because, a lot of people see me wear this scarf. This is a traditional Syrian Arab scarf. I'm part Arab and proud to be part Arab. And, but I'm an American first. And I'll tell you, and there's so many of my Arab family, Arab brothers and sisters out there that you don't hear from because their voices are drowned out. They're like, we sick of this shit. We sick of
no one likes the terrorists.
No, we're sick of Iran.
No one.
Sick of Iran stirring up trouble everywhere. Syria just got out of a civil war they've been in, for 15 years. Lebanon used to be, Beirut, for those of you who don't know, Beirut back in the 40s and 50s used to be one of the most beautiful places on earth. The rich and the famous and the royals of the world would go there in the summer and be on the beach and these nice resorts. It was incredible. The place was gorgeous. You can still look up photos of what it used to look like back in the day. And now it's a war zone that has just crumbled. and it's because of Iran. And now you look at Gaza, and it's crumbled, and it's because of Iran. You look at Syria, it's because Assad took money from Iran. Yemen, the Houthis, taking money from Iran. Saudi Arabia wants weapons. Why? Because they don't like Iran. Now, they said they signed a deal where they hopefully won't go to war and like that. The two kingdoms, the kingdom.
Right. They play proxy war all the time.
But they play proxy war, yeah.
I mean, I was in Egypt, actually, on the Sinai a couple years back, and the Arabs there, they're very nice people. And a lot of them will ask you, if they find out you're American, they'll ask you what Americans think of the situation in the Middle East, and they'll straight up tell you, don't think that's us. That's not us. We don't want that. So even they're hurting. I mean, it's quite the mess over there, and it's sad. It's sad for those people because those people really do just want.
But look at it this way. I mean, if you're a normal, everyday Arab citizen.
Real quickly, thank you, Sergeant Carnage. Thank you for the encouragement, for liking the content. We always appreciate that.
Appreciate that, buddy. Really do. And appreciate you always watching and always listening to us. The thing about you got to imagine how frustrating it can be just a regular Arab citizen in, say, Iraq or Iran or Syria. These places that are just so rich with oil. All of these countries should be kingdoms. All these citizens
they should have at least a decent standard of living.
Absolutely,
they have the opportunity,
and they don't, and it's not their fault.
What's ironic is this: the one country in that region that does not have oil, Israel, is the one country in that region. And the prime ministers of the past have joked. The founder of according to the Torah, who's the founder of Israel?
Moses.
Right. I didn't want to say Isaac for a moment.
It's the line of Moses. It's
right.
King David, all that. There's a lot.
The joke is he could not have picked a worse place to choose a homeland, a worse spot within the Holy Land to be a homeland because there's no oil there. Yet they're the most, outside of maybe Saudi Arabia and a couple of the Gulf states, the most developed. Look at their neighbors, Lebanon.
It's just
destroyed. Almost, nearly. Parts of Egypt there, rough, not exactly great. Syria, broken. Iraq, broken. Jordan's the best neighbor. It's the most stable one.
You know, for the first time in a long time, when you talk about Syria and how devastated it is, for all my life, I thought to myself, I'm Italian. I can go visit Rome. I can go to Italy and see my ancestry. I can go to Poland and see that part of my ancestry.
Right.
I could never say to myself, I can go to Syria or Lebanon and see that part of my ancestry.
Well, not the way you look. Sorry.
Well, not the way I look.
When I went. They loved me.
Yeah,
they gave me hugs. They didn't know I was American first.
Yeah, you get that whole multi.
Oh yeah, no. The joke in Europe is I could be in North Africa, Middle East, Southern Europe. I look normal, but second I go above the Alps.
Well, if you look normal, what do I look like?
You.
I know. I look like a turtle with his head poking.
Yeah, exactly. All
right.
They just heard my last name.
So we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see what happens over the weekend. It'll be interesting to see.
I'll check the headlines tonight because those headlines usually roll out.
Yeah, we usually
in these later hours because they get up, things happen, things move, calls happen.
You get the alerts and stuff.
You get the alerts. And yeah, Sergeant Carnage, you are right. It doesn't matter about your personal beliefs.
Yeah.
So long as you are America first and against violence towards your countrymen.
Yes.
That is a perfect way to put it. That is a perfect mindset to have as an American when it comes to politics within, domestic, and foreign.
Yeah. There's no, I mean, just for anybody. And that's the thing.
And I don't like the argument of tribalism. That's not tribalism. Listen, being an American also means you stand for American ideals, and those ideals are top of the top.
They're universal. They're natural rights. They're God-given rights. They're natural rights. They're
the way the world
rights.
works is based around American ideals. Am I not mistaken?
You're
I don't want people to think that's tribalism because it isn't. Because we hold ourselves to a standard higher than the world.
Americans didn't come up with this stuff. I mean, we took it from some of the best minds and philosophers
from the French,
of the
from
18th
the
century.
English,
right? Yeah, from the French, the English. John Locke and Jeremy Bentham and
I'm sure
all
others.
These great,
I'm sure there were others from other nations too,
there were
but
tons,
still,
yeah. So we
were just the first to put it all together.
Yeah, it was the first time anybody decided to write it all down in history. That we, the people, it was the first time anybody decided to write those words down. Amazing. But there you go. So, but speaking, we're back. Actually, I did have another immigration story here. Boston mayor faces heat over sanctuary city policies as Patriots owner's son goes on offensive. All right. So if you didn't know, there were 4 mayors of sanctuary cities in front of Congress today. Chicago's mayor, who's
I love that city.
Who's
South side's rough. North
used to love
North
Chicago.
is nice. South is rough.
But the Chicago mayor, who famously said it's not his job to arrest illegal immigrants, they're criminals. It is your job,
yeah,
actually,
it's your
especially
city.
if they
it's your
committed
city.
other crimes.
No. Your job is to maintain your city, and if your city is being harmed, you should probably do something about the thing that's harming them.
Yep. You get the mayor of Denver. You get the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, who actually spoke with some modicum of sense. He's like, yeah, I'm working with the Trump administration. We're trying to get funding, but we're also trying to do the right thing. We're trying to work with ICE.
He's locked also into it because it's not just him. It was the New York City, what was it, Congress or Council that wrote these in.
Yeah. And then now the Boston mayor, she's the absolute whack job where she changed the sanctuary city laws. So
Listen,
anyway.
I know I got a Boston hat on. I love my home, but I cannot be more disappointed in where it's going.
Boston is lost.
That's the cradle of our. Listen, I know people from other states may hate what I'm about to say, but listen, that's where our country started. Was Boston.
Yeah.
That is the birthplace of the United States. Is Lexington, Concord, Boston.
Yeah.
Those 3 cities. Without them, you don't have the great country we have today. And it's sad that we're letting it start to slip away right now, and we really shouldn't. Really shouldn't.
You want to see some lunacy? Never mind Boston proper. Go to Cambridge.
Oh no!
Holy
go across the river.
They are literally they're socialists.
Go across the Charles River, and you will quickly see a little commune get set up. It's crazy. Well, because it's really funny because it's mostly just in the Boston area.
Yeah.
If you go to like Western Mass, even parts of Worcester's getting weird now. But back before, Worcester was like, what is this?
Yeah, Worcester used to be just blue collar, working class people, and now it's a transgender sanctuary city. Anyways,
yeah.
So this is John Featherston, a former Massachusetts migrant shelter director. Quote, Boston continues to experience crime, drug activity, and human trafficking stemming from migrant facilities. The facilities basically that we're setting up to house these immigrants, they're using as their headquarters to do all this crap. While Mayor Wu enjoys strong backing from her base, largely influenced by Senator Elizabeth Warren. Yes, she's under the influence of Senator Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren.
Are we surprised? Are we really surprised?
No, we're not really. Residents in surrounding communities are frustrated and embarrassed by her leadership. She told basically Congress, Boston is a safer city than New York City, Denver, and Chicago.
Okay, hold on. Did you just say it's safer?
It's safer.
Okay, maybe safer than New York, sure. And I'd say Denver because of the things I've seen in Denver. Have you been to Southie? We have a part. You can speak on this called the Combat Zone.
I got a lot to say on this.
We got a part of the city called the Combat Zone.
I used to
can you
work.
Please explain?
Okay,
please.
When I worked for Target, I worked at their South Bay Target store. I was there for 4 years. It's in a place where the shopping mall itself requires its own police substation. When I say the shopping plaza, not a mall, just a little shop, just the shopping plaza. You got a Best Buy, a Home Depot, a Target, a few other little small grocery store. Just for that shopping plaza, Boston deemed it necessary to put a police substation there because the parking lot was one of the highest crime locations in all of Boston. Just the parking lot that I had to park in every day and walk through every night.
Well, that must have been an adventure for you.
It really was.
Morning clocking for the morning shift. Jerry's getting stabbed in the corner.
The things I saw in that park. First of all, one day, the cops, we knew the cops very well. They came in and said, if you see us out there having fun, we're just, what they were doing is this is when GPS units were big. So they would be in a car. They would get their car, unmarked car. They would park it, and they would put a GPS unit in the windshield. So anybody walking by could see, this car's got a GPS unit. And then they would be off in another van somewhere watching, and they would just stay there all day, and they would just net 5, 6, 7 guys just walking by going, let me try to break into that car to steal that GPS unit. They didn't even need to look for crime. It was just going to happen.
It was just coming.
It was so bad. The the crime in my Target store alone in that plaza, we were losing on average. Now, my job was operations. I was in charge of inventory and theft and all that. We were losing on theft alone over $3,000 a day. This is almost
$3,000 a day.
$3,000 a day, because every year we did our inventory and we'd have to look at what we were supposed to have, what we didn't have, and there you go, do the math. It was $3,000 a day
Damn, you
was
shut it
being
down?
stolen. No, because it was still making tons of money.
You're losing
we were-
$3,000 a day and you're still making profit.
Dude, we were making tons of money.
Doing great.
It was crazy because of where it was, right? It was one of the few targets in the area, it was a flagship store. So not only that, we have every store, Target store has an asset protection office, a place where the person in charge of loss prevention and shoplifting has their little office. Our office came with its camera room, fine, all the cameras and all that.
Standard, I feel like, no?
The one thing it came with that's not standard is we had our own jail. I shit you not. We had a holding cell. Why? Because we were catching shoplifters and arresting people for other things, like including assault on women and children, which I don't want to say the word here, but it happened way often in the store. Again, regular shoplifting, violent, all sorts of just craziness.
You just have a mini
people.
You have a mini Arkham Asylum essentially in the back.
So we would just load them in there. They'd be handcuffed. There'd be a bench, a metal bench. The floor was shifted down, so there was a drain there. So when they were all peeing themselves or shitting themselves, we could just hose it right into the drain. It was ridiculous. We were like 12 people deep. We'd have to call the cops. They'd have to come help us out and process everybody.
Wow, that's
it was insane. So don't tell me that crime is good. And don't tell me that Boston's a safe place. It's not. I remember one day I got a call from a kid walking across the bridge. He goes, "I can't come into work today." I go, "Why not, buddy?" "I got shot." "Okay, you just got shot by a stray bullet, just walking to work," and it just happens all the time. But anyways, so this mayor thinks Boston is safe. All right. It's Boston, and it's not.
Carnage, you are right. It is still safer than Detroit. As people who have lived in Michigan, I don't think we ever went to Detroit.
Michigan, yes.
Did we ever go to Detroit?
No, I would never bring you to Detroit.
You know why?
I'm a responsible parent.
We lived, and if you're from Michigan, obviously you know the whole hand gesture of the minute. We lived right underneath Kalamazoo Portage.
Yeah.
We were told by everyone there on the western side on good old Lake Michigan, don't go east. Leave that.
Don't go east.
So yes, Sergeant Carnage, it was still somehow safer than Detroit.
It was. Yep.
It's getting up there. I'm not saying it's going to get to Detroit levels, but it's they're giving a good run for their money, huh?
Yeah, it is. So, anyways, the Boston mayor goes on. "I keep saying Boston follows the laws. We're going to keep doing what we do because we are in full compliance with the laws, which say that municipal officials and municipal police departments have authority over enforcing crimes at the local level and keeping everyone in the community safe. Immigration falls under the federal government and federal officials. It is not the purview of city officials to be involved in doing the job of the federal government. And it's not the federal government's job to do job to what should happen at the local level either." Okay, the problem is the law says if the Boston police arrest some guy for murder and he's an illegal alien or illegal immigrant, and they know he's an illegal immigrant, or better yet, if the Boston police arrest a guy for murder and ICE already has a warrant out for his arrest, the Boston police can't say anything to ICE. They're not supposed to honor those warrants. They're not supposed to hand them over. So there's a real interpretation over what is considered by the Boston mayor of abiding by the law.
Yeah, that's more like ignoring the law. And Jerry Armstrong here, you are right. They are doing this to themselves, and we're just going to watch this pretty much unfold because that city is becoming more violent every day. I mean, the two big news stories when it came to violent illegal immigrants being arrested came from Boston, right? Those two. The one Haitian who was gang related, being kind of pretty much forced into the car saying, "Thank you, Biden."
Yeah, he was praising. He's like, "Thank you, Biden. F Trump. Thank you, Biden. Praise Joe Biden."
And the other guy who got arrested for something also equally, if not maybe worse.
Yeah.
I won't say. It's so bad.
It was so bad. He was diddying. He was a diddier. We'll call it that. I don't know what you want to call it, but I've lived, I've worked, I've gone to school in Boston. Detroit ain't so bad. It's come along. Yeah, Detroit has gone.
Detroit, I will admit. I've seen some videos. I will give you guys credit. You guys have probably beat out Cleveland.
Yeah.
I've been to Cleveland. That place is still rough. I don't think they've really changed themselves. Detroit's got a little bit on the up. You guys have a nice, Central Market. There's a nice meat market. Nice food market.
Hey, it ain't no San Francisco, though. I used to work in San Francisco for Apple.
Okay, no stories. They have a map of you know what.
I just couldn't.
Yeah, no.
San Francisco's like,
Talk about cities that have money, but like look like they don't.
it is just, my God. Anyway, so Boston Mayor Wu is out of her mind. Out of her mind.
The city's safer, boys.
It's safe.
Meanwhile, there are gangs being formed in the places you're trying to house illegal immigrants. And also, you don't know what's going on in there because the stories are wild.
You know what's not safe? If you go to Mattapan, which the cops used to call Murderpan. If you go to Roxbury, if you go to Dorchester.
Have always been the people who
hold on.
defied all
Sorry.
odds. Transit.
If you go to all those surrounding communities
I got
around
friends in
Boston.
Dorchester. You know that?
Well, there's West Dorchester and there's Dorchester. Dorchester is not where you want to go. Blue Hill Avenue,
Right.
all that stuff. West Dorchester is nice. But Roxbury, Mattapan, they call it the combat zone for a reason. The cops call it the combat zone for a reason. So, anyways. What else you got going on in the world of politics over there, buddy? Anything?
Me on the news? Well, we had the Ukraine.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Ukraine. Oh, Jesus. Wow, what a turnaround. Turns out one bad slip up in the Oval Office has got you coming back. I hate to say this, on your knees.
Trump was right.
Yeah, Trump was right. So not only did Trump cancel all the military aid that was supposed to go there, but as of a couple hours, 3 hours ago, he said, hey, your intelligence on the Russians and American access to American satellites, intelligence, and information, yeah, that's gone. So now they're kind of in the dark with whatever intelligence systems they have in place. Now, granted, I'm sure they're better since we probably beefed that up for them.
Yeah.
But we've definitely taken away a good chunk of their logistics capabilities. I'll say that. So they're coming rushing back to the table. He wants to sign the mineral deal again. He's really eager to. He's even apologized, I think, for what occurred in the Oval Office. I don't think he's claimed exactly personal responsibility. I have to look back at the tweets.
I think he's
got there's like 8 tweets in a row essentially of this. It looks like a man just desperate, and I feel bad almost because Putin's over there is just saying, hey, I know we have the mineral rich territory. We'll give that to you, USA, if you just look the other way. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm sure Trump is considering it. I'm sure he's considering it.
Let's see if I can pull this up. Let's see if I can find his letter. I know Trump read it. I don't know if they actually put it out. Did he actually put it out?
I don't know. I think it got I think it was just how do I say this? There's a couple of people I follow who are really really good sources within like the defense and intelligence sectors, and he puts out really credible posts when it comes to what's happening around the world.
Oh, he did it on Twitter.
Yeah, he did it on Twitter. That's what I told you. He did it on Twitter. It's long.
Sorry.
Also, before you go in, Gringo, you don't play MH Wilds, do you?
Play what?
I think it's MH Wilds. I think it's Monster Hunter Wilds. Sergeant Carnage was asking.
I don't. No, I don't. I get very little time to play video games nowadays. I got so much stuff going on with YouTube and videos and streaming. Although we are going to be getting MLB The Show, so that'll be cool. But
I'm happy with my Fallout, so you know.
You're a Fallout guy. You're a Fallout guy. All right, I got this. Okay.
Yeah, let's get into this.
Volodymyr Zelensky. I would like to reiterate Ukraine's commitment to peace. None of us wants an endless war. Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than Ukrainians. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We are ready to work fast to end the war. And the first stages could be the release of prisoners and truce in the sky. Ban on missiles, long-range drones, bombs on energy and other civilian infrastructure, and truce in the sea immediately if Russia will do the same. Then we want to move very fast through all the next stages and to work with the U.S. to agree to a strong final deal. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. And remember the moment when things changed, when President Trump provided Ukraine with javelins. We are grateful for this. Now remember, Trump gave them javelins.
Yeah, we gave them
missiles.
Okay. Did we give
Biden
them
and Obama gave them blankets.
Did we give them Patriot systems too?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Listen, we reached deep into that arsenal of ours and just said, "Hey, take them."
Okay, hold on. Our meeting in Washington at the White House on Friday did not go the way it was supposed to be. It is regrettable that it happened this way. It is time to make things right. We would like future cooperation and communication to be constructive. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time and in any convenient format. We see this agreement as a step forward toward greater security and solid security guarantees, and I truly hope it works effectively. Convenient format. He's basically like, listen, I'll sign it.
Convenient
Just
format.
email it to me. I'll PDF it back to you. Please do not take the.
Do you need a seal? Just tell me what you need. I'll bring it on the plane. It's like a school project when you got partners and they realize, oh shit, I gotta get it. It's like the night before it's due. They're rushing home to just need to get it done. They need to get it done, and I don't blame them. He's in a really bad position. Really, really bad position.
He really screwed himself.
And I feel, but listen, I lived in Europe, and I have a few Ukrainian friends that I met, and they're very nice people. Now, also, a lot of them will admit to you, the corruption there is still very much prevalent. It's better now, but it's still very prevalent. So don't be surprised about accusations of money being laundered,
it's bad.
mishandled. It is bad. That is absolutely true. But a lot of them, there are really good people there that are also trying to fight for their freedom. I respect that. Granted, I'm not advocating for us to now fully fund a war. I don't think war is good. I'd like to end it. I think Trump's on the right idea there.
The problem is that that's a war no one wins.
Yeah, that's a war no one wins. No one leaves that war happy. Ukraine's not going to leave it fully happy. Russia's not going to leave it fully happy. And I'd like to see it end.
I'd love to see it end.
I'd love to see it end because,
I don't want war.
Because what is Trump?
Dude, I'm going to be 50.
No.
I can't even count on my hands the number of there's been so much war in my lifetime.
I've had more wars, I think, in my life. Not more than you've seen, but you know what I mean? Like in my first, say, 20 years on this earth, I have seen more wars start than you probably saw in your first 20 years.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Say.
At least American involved. I'm not going to talk about foreign wars because, listen, that's a whole nother tiger right there to go after.
Well, during the Cold War, what I had against you,
you had duck and cover underneath the desk.
Yeah, basically every day was like, are we dying today? Is it going to be nuclear war today? Is this today?
It's going to be kind of fun, though.
We were all scared.
I mean,
it was like every day we were like, this is it, baby.
I'm imagining you had talks with your friends and the boys in class being like, listen, if the bombs drop and we live.
They used to have movies and stuff like movie of the week, the day after. It was like the day after nuclear weapons dropped. It's like
you lived in a different
scaring the crap out of us.
Different time.
Oh, the 80s. Loved it. Anyways.
I had to just worry about getting on a plane.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Yeah. Now I get on a plane. Take off your shoes. Take off your belt. Turn your head and cough. They always want to, they always want to.
I always have good airports.
Well, they always pull me out of line because of my last name is an Arab last name. Okay. They always pull me out of line.
That's funny. They never pull me out of line. The only place that gave me a hard time was like Egypt one time, but that was until they heard my last name and then they're like, "Oh no, you go through." I always get a Lebanese guy. I always get a Lebanese guy at American security. I don't know what's with a Lebanese American immigrants, but they end up working TSA and they see my last name and they get excited.
I always get TSA agents cupping my ass. They're just like, "Hey, you got something in there? Well, a lump of shit in a minute if you don't let me go. I gotta go to the bathroom."
See, this is clearly an example against white privilege because this man.
I'm as white as can be. I'm
translucent. I am olive.
There's no color.
There's no color. You
can see the blood going through the veins. It's just I got no privilege going through the airport. Believe me. But yeah, that's what we got for politics. And woo, it's time for some pop culture.
Little pop culture.
A little pop culture.
No, take the edge off.
Take the edge off.
We got war going on around the world. We've got.
Dude, I can't wait. Baseball's starting soon.
Baseball starts soon. I got to start up the fantasy league. I always start up every year. It's always a pain though because everyone's in different time zones and even sides of the world. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So
I always almost win. I always get second or third. It's rough. I'll be honest.
I haven't won anything. I'm not winning. So
have you seen your picks before? And you wonder why?
Well,
you don't make bad picks sometimes, but you get like you pick the most injury prone players, and you're like, this time they won't break their leg, and they break their leg.
It's okay. It's all right. So, all right. So a little bit. So we did take a break from politics yesterday, and we watched some movies and stuff.
That was after the live stream.
That was after the live stream.
That was after the.
So check out our channel. Check out the channel because I got a review on coming up this weekend on Daredevil. I did watch the first 2 episodes, and I don't know. I'm kind of mixed.
I was kind of watching here and there from the back, and Remember Daredevil?
Yeah, Daredevil was in the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and then it was 2 hours worth of episodes.
Matthew Murdock is a character as a lawyer.
It was a
good character.
It's a legal procedural.
It's a good character, but
Wilson Fisk becoming mayor.
I feel like it's a little bit of a Trump kind of.
It was a little bit, yeah.
I didn't want to say that while you were watching, but I was like, this seems like a little bit of a politically motivated show.
So, I mean, the first 10 minutes were amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing.
They're trying to go back to what they did for the Netflix series without, but trying to add a narrative that fits their policies and their
yeah, there was definitely a Trumpian edge to
Yeah.
it. There was a Trumpian edge to it.
And then you don't get proper Daredevil at all. Not even till you kind of get at the end of the second episode.
Well, they also kind of they gave him a little bit of so the character is very Catholic, very Christian. There wasn't a lot of Christianity in this, at least these 2 episodes, which I found like.
We sat in front of a church
For like 15 seconds.
No, I know. But I don't think everyone wants to see
that's
Matthew Murdock goes to mass.
But that's the character. Daredevil.
I'm not saying church is not important, and I'm not saying it's wrong to have a lot of church in a show, but it's a show. Daredevil, yes, it's part of the character. Have it. Don't be too upset if you don't have as much as you think it should be. It still has to appeal to a general wide audience.
It's just like,
that's what I'm looking at it from like a corporate kind of point of view.
But like I was watching and I was like, I think I enjoy it. But I'm not sure it's Daredevil.
It's not Daredevil yet. You got to give it time.
I don't want to give it time. I want my
Well,
Daredevil
not time,
back.
but you know what I mean.
I'm impatient.
Give it a build up.
I'm getting old.
How did I become more patient than you?
I'm running out of time. I have no
That's
patience.
fair. Yeah, that's fair. I don't mind.
It's like, they really said when you get older, you gain patience. No, I'm losing my patience.
Yeah, you lose patience.
I lose patience. It's like
You start realizing that clock's starting to tick. It's like, I don't
time's
wanna...
running out. Yeah. People come up to me, hey, can I borrow a minute of your time? I'm like, sure. And then if they go past 60 seconds, I literally said, you said a minute. I ain't got time to sit here and listen to you babble. Get to the point. So, but anyways.
That's fair.
So Daredevil, I'll keep checking it out. I'll post a review this weekend. We're going to go see Mickey 17 tomorrow.
Yes.
Let's do a review of that. And I did a review of The Gorge. A review of The Gorge is posted. I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie.
It was actually fun. A lot of people didn't like it. And they were bad-mouthed in it. And I was like, why? I think it's because it's Apple TV, maybe. I don't know.
It could be Apple TV, but also could be not enough social identity.
No, it had none of that crap.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what made it a good movie.
It was like survival horror. Well, at first, the second half of the movie is survival horror. The first half is just kind of mystery, suspense, a little bit of romance,
Right.
2 really good actors. And I'm like, I enjoyed it.
They did a good job blending the pots. The music could...
Yeah,
They could
the
change
music
the
is,
music. They could
it's
fix
Apple.
that.
They would try to be young and hip. Believe me, I used to
Yeah.
work there.
No, I get it.
Every time they tried to get me to be young and hip, I'm like, I ain't young and hip. I'm old and crotchety. That's just the way that goes. So
Yeah.
it's hard being an old man working in Apple. Sometimes you just gotta know when to just say,
Just got to know your place. No,
I don't get that. That's not for me. So, but that's it. That's what we got.
Little outside the address, a little short on news now. Surprisingly. A little more calmer day-ish.
What do you mean?
In terms of like news cycle.
Oh yeah, it was a calm day.
Calm day.
It was a calm day.
Because I think everyone was focusing on the address.
Everybody was focused on the
Right.
address. Everybody was focused on there, and I'm still upset. I vented a lot to everybody here, but I'm still upset about what happened at that address. And
I have to watch the response.
I tried watching half of it, and whatever her name is, Senator Slotkin from Michigan.
Yeah, Slotkin, yeah. Well, Bernie was supposed to give a response too, and the other representative, Latifa.
Latifa.
I think Latifa. I could be mistaken.
Don't know. Don't care.
Don't mean to mispronounce people's names. I'm just.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I don't mean to disrespect mispronouncing the names. I just don't care. I don't really care what they.
I just think it's kind of embarrassing though. So they'll be like, "We have a response outside the Capitol building." It's like, what is this?
So that's our stream for today. I think we're going to call it a few minutes early, a couple minutes early, but that's okay. We talked a lot.
Yeah,
Got through a lot. So
it's been
I
a
just
long
wanna say-
stream yesterday. What,
No,
2 or
really
3 hour
long
stream?
So
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody joining in. Sergeant Carnage, as always, buddy. Appreciate you
Appreciate
very
you.
much. Appreciate everybody.
Appreciate
and,
everyone who commented.
Yeah,
Jerry
everyone commented.
Armstrong,
All the
King
views.
Dab, even Dan Morgan. I'm sure I probably missed a few names.
It's been a real successful streaming week for us. And
It's been a good stream.
the thing is, just before we go, just so you know, we're father son. This is my youngest.
We disagree sometimes.
We disagree a lot, but we started doing this because we think it's fun. And I do live in Mexico. My wife is Mexican. We've been married 25 years,
They're not
24 years,
mixed.
quarter of a century. I enjoy living down here and doing the work that I do, and I enjoy streaming, and I enjoy making these videos. It's just us. It's just we have no engineering team. We have no editors. If I post a video, it's because I did everything. The other day, someone asked me, or someone said to me, I don't like your video because it's AI. I wrote them back. I said,
that's my voice.
I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand. I don't use AI tools, and not that I don't have anything against you people using AI tools, but I said I don't use AI tools. I said, this is really my voice, because I was doing a voiceover, and he wrote back, sorry, my bad. I'm like,
well, you do a good job with the whole process, making it streamlined, so it sounds.
I try.
And you're very punctual. You are a English licensed teacher, technically.
Yeah, I'm licensed to teach English, but anyway, it's just the two of us. So whatever you see, we just have fun. If you comment, we're just regular people. We're just. Yep. I'm old. He's
try to be as down to earth as possible, because we pretty much are down to earth. It's not a facade. It's who we are.
Yeah. So, but with that, just so you know a little bit more about us, and as we continue to stream throughout the rest of the next few months, and you get to know us, and then we're going to start our baseball podcast, and hopefully everybody likes that. And we'll enjoy having that fun. But with that, that's it, brother. You got anything?
I got nothing more to add. Maybe tomorrow we'll see him.
Oh yeah. Well, after we get out for the movies.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, so from south of the border, thank you to everybody. Really appreciate it. This is just a lot of fun for us to do. So, salud.
Salud. A huevo. Adios.